Joining us today for this hearing of the Joint Economic Committee. Today's hearing is going to focus on one of the most important topics that we could ever cover, and that relates to the most fundamental unit of society, which is the family. As most members of this committee are certainly aware, the American family is in a precarious state. Although the vast majority of Americans still desire to marry, the marriage rate has declined, and it's been declining for decades, and stable family life has disappeared for millions and millions of American children. The trends in family life in America are a little concerning. Whereas just 5% of children were born to unmarried mothers in 1960, 40% of children are born to unmarried mothers today. Meanwhile, 30% of children today live without one or both parents, twice the proportion of children that lived without one or both parents 50 years ago. Over the past few years, the Social Capital Project within the Joint Economic Committee has worked to document these trends in American associational life, that is, defined as the web of social relationships through which we pursue joint endeavors, our families, communities, workplaces, and religious congregations. The project recognizes the family as a crucial source of these relationships, which is why our policy agenda aims to make it more affordable to raise a family and to increase the number of children raised in happily married families. While the project has often emphasized the social value that stable family life provides, the declines in family stability have economic, physical, and emotional consequences as well that are very significant for those affected. For a variety of reasons, children raised in single-parent families are far more likely to experience child poverty, less likely to graduate from high school or attend college, and less likely to be connected to the labor force as adults. In addition, children raised in single-parent families are less likely to have positive relationships with their parents and far more likely to experience physical, emotional, or sexual abuse. Conversely, children raised by two married parents in a healthy relationship are likely to be happier, healthier, and better prepared for life. This, of course, doesn't define every circumstance, and one should not deem oneself subject to one fate or another, depending on one's family circumstances. Nevertheless, the statistics are informative, and we should look to draw from them. The positive outcomes associated with stable home life are outcomes that Americans want for all children, regardless of their background and regardless of the home that they happen to have been born into. But tragically, the decline of the family is concentrated among some vulnerable groups, including minorities and lower-income families. For example, over two-thirds of births to Black American mothers and over half of births to Hispanic American mothers occur outside of marriage, and minority women are much more likely to see their marriages end in divorce. Meanwhile, two-thirds of births among non-college educated women occur outside marriage, and non-college educated adults are also less likely to stay married once they've gotten married, if they've gotten married. Although these trends are most stark for certain disadvantaged groups, they affect us all. What factors have driven these declines is something that we need to ask. Well, what is it that's driven these declines in American family stability? Well, the breakdown of the family is at least partly caused by cultural changes that have reverberated throughout our society, including changing romantic norms that led to greater relationship ambiguity, a culture of individualism that too often emphasizes the desires of individuals over the well-being of the family, and the retreat from religion, which is one of the strongest supports of marriage and family life. But while cultural factors may have contributed to declining marriage rates over time, the federal government has also played an active role. For example, our government penalizes marriage through the welfare system and the tax code, and in some cases through the way that the tax code and the welfare system happen to interact. Our federal government should not be in the business of punishing marriage. Instead, it should support policies that strengthen marriage and thus improve the likelihood of family stability for children. State and local leaders should also seek ways to strengthen marriage and increase family stability. At a bare minimum, government should have as its object not to discourage or punish marriage under any circumstance. Some of us have been working toward that goal. Today, we will hear from expert panelists who will speak to the state of the American family and discuss various policies, solutions to discuss some of the current challenges facing families. I look forward to hearing their testimonies on this crucial topic. And I now recognize our new Vice Chair, Mr. Byer, for his opening remarks and congratulate him on his selection as Vice Chair.